Letting go is one of the hardest things for anyone to do in any kind of caliber. Regarding any moments in life, things are hard to let go of. When you're not practicing detachment continuously, we are accustomed to the attachment of life. We are attached to the relationships, the things around us, the things we have, the things we are doing, the labels we've been calling ourselves for years. Like, we're attached to that. We're attached to having things because at the end of the day, it shows control. It shows that, okay, if we don't have control over what the government might be doing, what our neighbors are doing, all of that, at least we can have control over these specific things in our life. Having that kind of attachment really leaves no room for the wonderful surprises the universe wants to give. It doesn't leave room for your life to turn in a positive trajectory. If you're so used to having an attachment to harmful things, all you'll experience in life are harmful things. Therefore, the point of letting go of things is to create that lightness, create that space for you to continuously grow without holding on to attachments to things that are no longer serving you. There could be things that were once amazing and great for your life, but are no longer that, and that's the point of life too. Not everything is meant to stay in your life permanently. Not everything was meant to stay in your life for a long time. Things could have come for certain reasons, certain seasons. The best mirrors we have are the things we are attached to. Why are we so attached to them? Why do we feel like we need to pursue something that isn't meant for us? I had asked on my social medias, Instagram and TikTok, what are some things that people find hard to let go of? What are some things you want to let go of? Here's one of the questions: be how to let go of things that aren't working for me. First, give love to yourself for trying to pursue something, especially because at that time you felt it was right for you. Because if you didn't, why else would you pursue it? But if you truly felt like this is something that was meant to be in your life, this is something you want to try out, that's okay to know. Commend the skills and lessons you learned during that time of trying to pursue that thing or having that in your life. You will learn something about yourself. Then ultimately ask yourself why you were pursuing that in the first place. The intentions of why we do the things we do are so important. There's so many reasons that there's so many things that people are like, oh, I just did it just cuz. Oh, I did it because that person was doing it. Oh, I did it because I felt that was what we need to do, or I felt that was right at the time. Your intentions have to be super clear because it really shows you where you're headed, what you were doing, what you want in your life. In very simple thought, what's meant for you will come with ease, stay with ease, and what isn't for you will come with resistance and be resistant. This is in terms of trying to shake bad habits and form new ones. Please give yourself grace and understanding that you have been pursuing that one field of habit for however long, so it just needs some time to shake it up, change it up, and replacing it with another hobby is ideal, but replacing it with a better hobby that's suited for your life now, that's suited for what your soul wants now. Really evaluating what we want in our life, if it's instantly gratifying or if it's actually an investment. When things are so easy to obtain and so easy to just stay on that great high, as quick as things could come, those things could easily leave. Therefore, really seeing what you want to invest in, that comes with relationships, that comes with the job you're entering, that comes with truly the company you keep around you and the environment you're keeping around you. All those things are investments to your long-term life. Imagine the things that you want now, ask if it's going to serve you a year from now. Those things are super important to ask yourself, is this beneficial for me in the long term? Or is this something I want right now? Am I trying to fill a void? Am I trying to ignore the real issues, the real problems I'm truly facing, whether that actually be loneliness, depression, anger, jealousy? There's always those underlying emotions that stem and they come from a certain source, they come from certain places. Ask yourself why things are coming to resistance for you. The great part about why you need to let go of some things and why you shouldn't, that all comes with the awareness of what makes you happy right now in the present, not what has served you for years before. How are you feeling right now? Is this making you happy? Is this gonna make you happy long term? Do you think? That comes in with an understanding of yourself too. Resistance in a lot of ways internally can look like impatience. If it is something that you do find an investment long term towards, but you're meeting resistance in terms of feeling bored, if you're feeling like things aren't working out for you, if you are doing okay and you are meeting a certain trajectory but it's not going fast enough, that can also relate to impatience. But you're seeing how things are flowing. Impatience in itself is very telltale to see if it's a desire or to see if it's a actual drive towards your goal. Desire is great to learn what it is that you want, but it's drive that's going to be your longevity. It keeps you moving. Desire will only do that for so long. Patience in itself will show you those two things separately. Ultimately, how to let go of things that aren't working for you is let go of it anyways. How you are without it for a week, see how you are without it for a month. If you can, like, if you don't think about it after that time, you know it's not for you. Thoughts that replay in your head about those things were solely in your head, because your thoughts and your mind are not you in general. They're there, they're part of you. The best part is to journal these thoughts to see how true they are for you still. Oh, I'm holding on to this because, write it down. Don't keep it in your head, because in your head you can start making up all these other things. But when you're writing it down, that really shows where you are at in the present. Another question was how to let go of feeling like you're not good enough. This will always come back towards your environment, your upbringing, for me, when answering this question, because if you've grown up with a family, guardians that were constantly telling you you can't do what you want, you can't explore because it's scary, like they were instilling their fear onto you growing up. When you're a kid, that's hard to get out of, because if you're and then growing up to be surrounded in that type of environment, you will feel scared. You will constantly feel in those doubts, in those worries, in those anxieties, because of the limitations that have been implanted in your head since you were young. Things that happen when you're young will always stay with you until it's addressed, no matter how old you are. Having low confidence built into you when you were young will stay with you growing up. In terms of that, it will replay in the type of relationships you allow in your life as well. If you didn't have parents or guardians or just a supportive family around you to tell you you're doing great no matter what it was, or tell you that you are able to do all those shooting for the stars things, if you didn't have that growing up, you're going to attract other people who keep you on the same level, who keep you feeling like you can't reach for the stars, that you can't do this and that, because it's what you grew up being comfy with, unfortunately. We don't want this to stay with us. Of course, we don't want to constantly blame the childhood and our parents, because we can understand where our parents are coming from. It can always go like that. But evidently, how you grew up is how you only grew up. Like, your parents are to be roles for you, but they're not the reason for your living. They're not your end all be all for how to live this life. There's so many other ways to break out of those limitations. How I have personally come out of feeling like I wasn't enough, honestly, a lot of it came from TikTok. I have a lot of online mentors I follow on TikTok that still keep me uplifted, that still keep me confident, and make me feel like I'm not alone in my pain, in my traumas, in my sadness. There's other people sharing their stories out there too, that I feel like, okay, we are a community, and if we come together and realize where we may have been lacking, we can work together. We can work through this. The hardest part about feeling like we aren't good enough is to constantly replay the notion that we aren't, in terms of not trying for new things because we're paralyzed at the idea of guilt and shame. Maybe if you tried something growing up and you were shamed for it, that will stay with you. That has stayed with me a lot of my life until I grew into owning my power, owning who I want to be, owning who I always imagine myself to be. When you tap back into your inner child through your healing, through your creativity, through knowing this life is just yours, that will bring up so much of what your childhood dreams were. And when you get reconnected with that, that's where I find your confidence would stem from. What it takes for you to feel like you are good enough for anything you want to achieve, because you truly are. You truly, truly are. The only limitations you have are from your past, are from the things that haunt you. There's nothing in your current present, unless you're allowing it, that's making you stay in that notion of not feeling good enough. No one's constantly telling you every day you're not good enough unless you're allowing that type of person to be in your life. Once you own your worth, once you realize your worth, this will stem so far in feeling that you're not good enough for any room. For resonance and comfort, I came from a place where I truly didn't think I was good enough to have a good relationship, good friends, all that, and I truly wanted to. That's the thing. I truly wanted to have a good relationship, wanted to have good friends. I wanted to feel so included. I wanted to feel good enough to put myself out there, do the things I want to do confidently. All of this that I'm doing right now, being online, took a lot, and I came from a place where I didn't feel good enough to even do this, to even own my story. I didn't even think I felt good enough to change my body. I felt one point stuck. I was like, okay, I'm just going to have to get surgery. I'm going to just have to deal with those things because I don't see myself changing in any other way, because I don't feel I deserve to change my life in any other way. What kept instilling more confidence in becoming who I am was letting go of the people who made me feel that way. That included my family. That the first people I let go of were my family when it came to my healing. And then it became my friends who I was around. Then it became my environment in itself. I moved out of the provinces and out of the country that I felt not good enough to be in. I'm no longer in those spaces. I'm completely embodying who I am in my own space. When you're constantly told you're not good enough, people who are in this underdog position need to have that isolation period to be away from anything that associates with their old life. As soon as you feel like, I don't want to feel like I'm not good enough anymore, when you want to make that switch, when you're determined and you start making those moves, it will be so hard. It will be challenging, but it's so worth it, because coming up into your own self, into your own story, no one can tell you who you are or aren't anymore, because now you're sure within yourself of who you are. Now you don't need any kind of things like that. Know that at the end of the day, when you're not feeling good enough, you probably know this, that you are replaying that notion in your head, but you are the only one who can get yourself out of that mental prison by truly believing you are worth more than what you think you're doing right now. Because you are. If you're not happy with your life right now, you won't be happy with your life down the road doing the same thing. You must make the moves to own your worthiness, because you know you are. And finding that you are is to let go of everything that keeps you into the old programming. Make that move to be like, okay, no, I'm worthy. If yesterday you thought you weren't good enough, you can always wake up the next day thinking that you are. From there, every time you say, I am good enough, your brain will tell you the reasons, but it will show you. I want to say it will tell you, and then you might have notions where you want to believe it, but evidently it's showing you what is holding you back. Every time you say that, it will show you what's holding you back. Journaling helps a lot when it comes to this. When it came to every time I said I'm not good enough out loud, it reminded me of the people who told me that. It reminded me of the situations where I felt that. And then you learn to overcome it by the determination of wanting to change. Evidently, it's your own willpower to get yourself out of this, but please, just from me saying this to you, no matter what it is that you're doing, you're still worth it. No matter what it is that you've done for years and you want to make a change now, I commend you for that. I'm sending you strength, because you can do it. You can do it. Anyone who's telling you that you can't change is someone not meant to be in your life, because they can't change. They don't want to change. Therefore, they don't want to change their surroundings, and you are part of that. But if you are knowing that you're not meant to be in that same surrounding anymore, you're allowed to change. You're allowed to change. They send you so much love and strength to do it. I also want to cover how to let go of other people. This is by no means the end all be all step by step on how to get over other people, because relationships truly serve as your strongest, truest mirror, and that is unique in itself. So all relationships are actually unique, even though we want it to look like the movies and the TVs. You want that one uniform love where, oh, some similarities, some differences, oh, we can make it work, long lasting, that's it. No, everything is so complex in between. I've been dating since I was 14. I've seen myself in so many different types of relationships, so I want to share how I have released all those significant relationships that have been in my life that I feel contributed to who I am today, when it comes to love, when it comes to how I view myself and who I truly want around me as a partner. The first relationship I had, my puppy love, first love, was when I was 14. I count him as my first because there was people I've called boyfriends before him, but he was the most influential time when it came to seeing what a true relationship was for me, and not just what my friends were pushing, what relationships were. Like, this one truly felt like, no, this is what a relationship really feels like for me. When we were much younger, I was very influenced by my friends. I allowed myself to be very influenced by my friends, and my friends back when I was 13, 14 were party friends. We had a lot of, I went out late at night after elementary, after junior high, early. I snuck out. I did a lot of things. Dating someone who wasn't doing that stuff and very stable, I got to really explore what that was for me. It was really cute, very loving. It brings me like nice nostalgic thoughts whenever I think about that time. The reason why I ended up letting that one go was because I felt like it wasn't serving me anymore. I truly felt like a year and a half has passed. I've changed so much during that time based on who I really wanted in my life. At the time, I kept saying it felt too married for what we were, for how old I was. I think a part of me truly missed the toxic stuff. It wasn't a toxic relationship at all, but a part of me started to self-sabotage. I see that now as like a higher perspective of what happened during that time, but I self-sabotaged that relationship. It felt too stagnant. It was missing the excitement, and as much as I knew he was good for my heart, I knew he wasn't good for my growth, because he wasn't challenging me in terms of that. He really kept me feeling safe in who I was at the time, but I started to change as a person during that time, and I started feeling like I needed more beyond what he could provide. So I let that relationship go because of that. It's hard to call this a relationship. I do want to say it plays a role in a significant connection I've had to help me with my growth, because when I said I miss toxic, I went right into toxic. This relationship or connection lasted about 3 months. This came a couple months after that breakup. This was 3 months of pure chaos. I did not know where the flow of the relationship was going. I actually didn't even know we were in a relationship. One day he called me his girlfriend, and I was just so surprised with that, because the other one before had been very romantic, very cute, very like lovey like that. This one, I had no idea what his feelings were for me at all. It just, the way we started was from a party. The way we got together was through like a toxic, manipulative way. It was already a recipe for disaster, but at that time, the reason why I just wanted to give it a try was because it was so different, it was new. It wasn't always bad in the beginning. That's how I was able to stay. I was like, oh, this is exciting. But when I started dismissing the red flags, dismissing the bad behavior, allowing them to really treat me not even as a priority at all in their life all of a sudden, but just someone they could call when they were bored, really. That became a thing for me. I didn't last more than 3 months because at one point I really took back my own. That's when I, after being ghosted in a relationship, it does something to you. I was ghosted, so I just assumed at that point the relationship was over. Then they came back and we talked a little bit, but then ghosted again. And then at that point, I just I gave myself a couple weeks. I gave myself a couple weeks, and then I was like, no, I can't sleep. I can't focus on anything because I'm stressed. I was putting way too much focus into something that was hurting me every day. It took those couple weeks for me to gain my strength back and say, I do not deserve something like this. I messaged them saying it was over during the time they ghosted me. The backlash I met with that was also harmful in itself. For me, I felt like I was finally standing up for myself in terms of how hurt I was getting from someone else. And then I got met with, you're hurting them. It was a very hard time for me to really own what I did. It was my first time truly being met with such a karmic person who had to really show me how to stand on my own feet and to also stand on my own feet while I was receiving backlash from other people who were not even part of the relationship at all. They were just bystanders who were just observing what this looked like for them. But for me, it was something I was living through, something I held in my heart for a very long time. All that shame for making the right decision for myself, it was weird. It took a little bit to walk away from. I knew I didn't deserve the ghosting. I knew I didn't deserve all that. It wasn't even half-ass energy. I was pretty sure I got a quarter of that guy. I gave my all every time I saw him. So it was a really big learning lesson on seeing a very unrequited love for being in a relationship for me. That was a turning point. The third and longest relationship I've ever been in is 6 years. This obviously played a very significant time in my life. This was a great safe space. This was a relationship that showed me so much love in so many different ways. What the heck? I'm getting a little emotional trying to retrace these relationships back like this as how I let go of them. I also just found out that my Chiron is in Libra. Chiron is like the sign's archetype of your most karmic lessons in this life, and Libras is kind of like the lessons of relationships. So it makes sense, honestly. Having the most influential times of my life be from what I learned from being in relationships. I'm grateful that this relationship showed. Wow, I don't mean to get sensitive. Oh my god. Aw, she's good. This relationship was hard to let go of. It was a relationship I let go of on time for myself. There were a lot of moments near the end where I kept gaslighting myself to stay. There was nothing necessarily wrong about the relationship in terms of he never hurt me. He was a very, very good safe space during that time of my life. I say over and over how that relationship saved my life. So it's hard to let go of something that at the same time once saved you. Like, so cute. She came to sit closer to me after I started crying. So sweet. I want to get through this video without crying, and a part of me was thinking if I should just stop, but healing isn't linear. See, I'm not a professional of letting go of stuff. All of these relationships still stay so close to my heart because I like to really thank and remember all the moments and people who helped me become who I am today, because I wouldn't have been able to find myself
without those experiences. So they all hold a very special place, everyone I'm talking about right now. With this letting go, it's letting go of them from the relationship itself. Like, as a romantic connection at that time for me, clearly it still like touches my heart and it still affects me, because healing isn't linear and you always learn more about yourself every day when triggers like this come up. This crying, very surprising for me right now. Earlier I was literally planning what I wanted to say and just have it be so like concrete, this is what happened. Now I'm like, oh shit. Thank you, Angel. Thank you. I don't know why I keep calling her Mosh Mosh, but I call her Mosh Mosh. Her name's Cookie, but I call her Mosh Mosh. To continue with what I last said, how could I let go of this relationship when it saved me for years? And to answer it super simply, it's because I grew. It's because I evolved. When we had met each other, I was in a very hard place already in my life. I had realized that I'm taking on a lot more for how old I am in my life. I just didn't know how to talk to anyone about it, because the people I had talked to at the time, they just didn't understand. The friends I had at the time had what I thought were stable families, because they actually had families around them. Not to say mine completely weren't around me, but with the language barrier, with the language barrier of my grandparents and then the emotional distance of my dad, I felt like I didn't really have anyone. Having him and then having his family, his friends, all be such loving characters for me at that time in my life, it's really nice. But at one point, I just grew beyond that. I grew beyond my pain. I couldn't let myself sit in that pain anymore. I didn't know how to talk to him about it, because these were things we were just experiencing different in life. The way we viewed family were completely different. He has a very loving one. Mine isn't like that. Our fundamental differences like that, I felt like there was never full resonance with him, unfortunately, and because of that I always had moments where I felt alone. I felt alone in my pain with him, unfortunately. Did his best. He tried his best, but for both of us not knowing so much about mental health at the time, learning what it was, me even accepting that I would be going through something like that, it was all too much at the time. I just felt like I had to release everybody that was part of my old life by that time. By the time it reached our 6 years, I felt like I need a huge redo of my life now, or else I will start spiraling. Like, I didn't want to bring someone else down with me. Let go of things, because I wanted just a huge 360 change. I needed to save myself at one point. I told that's my narrative when I was ending things with him. I need to save myself now. I need to live my own life for me. There was just a strong obligation near the end of our relationship, because there had been my best friends at the time telling me not to do it, telling me like, there's nothing wrong with you guys, I don't understand. And I'm just like, no one can see it. No one, but then again, no one can experience what I'm experiencing every day. Of course, I don't have someone abusing me, even being mean or anything to me. Like, he was there. Like, our relationship was very much like a best friends relationship, very nice bond, and I really loved it for that. It wasn't healing enough for me, because I truly think at this point, seeing it from a higher perspective, that family difference, because I really needed to heal the fact that I had so much family wounds and he didn't have the same amount of pain or experience when it comes to that. Now that I'm seeing it from afar, I see that it was a right choice for me, the healing itself. He never gaslit me about anything, but I think the experiences of life were just too different for us. I had to let go because I needed to see myself for once. This was finally a point in my life where I felt like I didn't want to be with anyone and I wanted to experience the single life for real. I started dating when I was 14, experimenting honestly with boys here and there since I was 11. I never stayed single for longer than 2 months until that breakup with him of the 6 years. That was when I was 23. So just dating for just having that constant need of having people to be in my life, to fill that void, to fill that loneliness, to fill that relationship connection void, because I never experienced true connection relationship with my family members. So I really tried looking for it with boys. I was like, hey, I think this is the meant to be the trajectory in life. Like, I don't think I could find what I'm feeling missing with my friends. It must be just relationship. It must be that. So I tried to date all that time. After that, I was single for a year. Got to know myself well. And this is not just like, oh, a happy, oh, get to know myself. That first year of being single was rough. Fast forward into the last relationship I was in, like actual called each other boyfriend and girlfriend relationship. I had let go of that one because when I was single for that year, after that 6 year, because I had so many people tell me our relationship was so great, why did we break up? I was guilty. I had a lot of shame and a lot of guilt on me with that, and with everything that I was experiencing in life anyways. My self-talk was very bad. Having that experience for that full year of being single, fucking around, whatever, at the same time I would tell myself, you don't deserve to be in a good relationship, you don't deserve love, you don't deserve a nice person. Evidently, when I felt like I was ready to be in a relationship again, but I was still saying those things, I attracted the same kind of person, and I definitely got treated like that too. Our relationship was built on a lot of intoxication. I just want to say, if your foundation is that you're only nice to each other when you're drinking or when you're on drugs, that's already a telltale sign you're not meant to be in each other's lives for growth. You're not meant to be in each other's lives long. Our relationship didn't start off like crazy partying all the time, like fixing that. It was that we were both trying to get out of that partying thing. So we were going on this sober trajectory together, celebrating sometimes here and there, but going on this trajectory. And then at one point it just 180'd and I completely just didn't know who I was dating anymore. During that time, I had to really learn how to stand up for my own voice, who I am, what I offer in a relationship, what I offer to myself. There was so much I had to take back because of the way I allowed myself to be treated during that time. I've never faced abuse from a partner like that ever. It wasn't a question of if I needed to walk away or not. It's just when was I able to do that? Near the end, it became more and more intolerable about our situation. It was really easy to let go of him as a romantic partner before I even actually physically cut it off entirely. I mentally checked out after the abuse that I faced, after the no accountability for it, and going through my abortion alone, going through my grandpa's funeral alone. Like, after facing so many hard moments alone, being in that relationship, I was and wondering, why can't I lean on my partner, constantly asking that, I made myself watch romantic stuff to literally remember what it's like for people to actually love each other. I let myself stay in such a mentally abusive, emotionally abusive relationship for so long because at one point I just truly forgot what it looked like to be treated good, to be treated like a partner in a relationship. I forgot what it felt like, and I forgot what it was to look like for me. Once I got into my OnlyFans once I started gaining confidence through that, once I started talking to other people who were saying nice things to me, not just boys validating me through OnlyFans. Like, let me make that clear. It was like people talking about my business strategy, my marketing skills, like all these things people were complimenting my skills on. It empowered me. And then I finally felt empowered enough to leave him. It's so strange when you're in a abusive relationship, because I kept telling myself I would never be able to be in one. Once I noticed abuse right away, I would be able to leave. Seeing myself stay in an abusive relationship, knowing it was abusive, made me see how much my self-worth was. I had no self-worth being in that relationship for a very long time, that I allowed all these things to happen to me. He cheated on me a couple times, like he spoke so bad about me whenever we weren't getting along, and then after the relationship he spoke even worse about me. Like, he was just not someone good for me if I wasn't a mom to him, type of thing. And it was strange because I got really stuck at what I thought we were in the beginning, you know? I really wanted to believe that I had met someone who's super caring, who wanted the best for me and wanted the best for themselves too. And that's what it was in the beginning of the relationship. And I got excited about that, and I got excited over having the thought of being able to celebrate with someone, because I like to party. Like, I do like to party. I overdid it before, I understand that, but I am someone who likes to celebrate. So being able to what felt like doing everything with him at one point was nice. It was also through COVID too, so during the quarantine, like, it was nice when we had each other, type thing. But when real life started kicking in and real shit started happening, that's when I just saw the mask for what it was. I had to learn how to stand in my strength to be able to leave. It was hard because we moved in together and 3 weeks later we broke up, but we signed the lease for a year and I couldn't leave based on my own finances. I learned how to walk away from and let go of. But when I realized that I don't deserve to be treated like shit, I don't deserve to be projected against all day, every day, I don't deserve to not have my own emotional safety be jeopardized if that person is going through something. I was never able to be sad or anxious around him. It would trigger his sadness or anxiety. Learning all those things and seeing it for what it was, I had to remember I'm worth more than that. And that's what made me walk away. The most recent encounters that I had to walk away from weren't even reaching the dating stage. We were stuck in a complicated situationship type of failed talking stage, but I felt like it was hard to walk away from like two people specifically. It was because mostly it was hard to walk away because of what I projected onto them. I built them up so high in my head. I put them on pedestals of what I liked hearing about them, and I just focused on the fact of what they said to me the first or second day of hanging out. I had that stuck in my head so much because at the time, after that kind of relationship, I just wanted to believe in good men. I wanted to believe that there are good relationships out there for me. Upon the first days of meeting these two and what happened those days, what I felt, I really let my daydreams get the best of me during this time, allowed myself to go full head over heels into both of them. But it was still a lesson, each of them. They were spaced out by like a month. They were lessons on my worth still, because I don't deserve to get ghosted. I don't deserve to be a second choice. I deserve to be a full priority to someone. I deserve to have someone curious about me, who wants to get to know me. And being so certain with that has helped me walk away from these two. There were moments where I allowed myself to wait for them, but during the waiting, you put your life on hold a little bit. even though things are still moving, you're still doing something. Like, I didn't wait for them as in I was like, no. Every time I got a notification, I would just think it's them. I would still continue on my work, but that's what it would be like for me. Constantly waiting on if they would message me, if they're even thinking about me. Doing so has, I don't want to say made me lose time, because there's no such thing. It's always learning lessons, but it really made me see how much time I was putting towards other people still. Even if it's giving them that mental space to stay in my head like that, I had to learn to walk away from that type of thing. It wasn't something that wasn't necessarily like toxic, but still played a role in triggering me because it replayed something of my childhood. Every time I remembered who I was and who I want to become and who I truly want around me, it helped make my hermit mode, my solo time, much more stronger, much more powerful, because of who I was becoming on the inside every day. I'm really glad I found myself in all the ways I've had to walk away from people. I'm grateful for what they have taught me, whether they knew it or not. I'm so grateful that nothing will shake my worth like that anymore. I won't allow myself to be in any kind of relationship where I have to grow strength to walk away or settle out of fear and safety. I'm really embracing who I am now. The more you stay so firm in who you want to become and be, the more you won't take shit from anybody. The more it's easier to let go because it's not currently serving you. Right? Like I said, if it made you happy at one point in life but doesn't anymore, then it's time to let it go.
To conclude, I truly hope this helps in feeling not alone in the stuff you need to let go of. My whole channel has shown all the things I need to let go of when it came to materials, when it came to connections, when it came to limiting beliefs. I've shown the ways that I've personally let go of these things. If you're curious about certain specific things to let go of, please leave comments below. I definitely invite you to look through my old videos. I have listed them as specifically as I can when it came to lessons I was learning in my life. I appreciate your space and thank you for joining me again in this video. I would love to share ways of how I have healed, because I know it has worked. And I didn't learn all these things by myself. They came through from mentors I've learned and other spiritual leaders as well. These are all things that we can just continuously all do together without shame, without rushing, just all with love and understanding. If there's anything that you find hard to let go of or want to let go of, please leave it below. If you want to ask about anything specifically on how I let go of certain things, please ask below. I'm really open and excited to thank you so much again for your time. Hugs. Just say every day an affirmation: I release all that no longer serves me. Just say that every day, because you deserve a life of lightness, love, and freedom. You do.